Hi there, we are live for our first meal prep. We're doing snacks this week. Week one is just snacks, and so the goal is for you to start prepping at week one. Go through as many weeks as makes you comfortable and whatever makes sense for your family. I'm gonna try to make it easy. I'm gonna try to make it fun. We're gonna do this. Hello guys. So I have my iPad sitting here, so my hope was that I could kind of prep and then answer your questions at the same time. So please feel free to ask. Let me try to get this situated. These are all the things that you can't really do until you go live. There it is. Okay, I'm going to keep an eye on your comments. So we are doing hard-boiled eggs. We are doing sausage stuffed mushrooms. Super easy. That sounds really fancy and it's not fancy at all. So we're doing oatmeal energy bites, which are like peanut butter balls, like protein balls. And then we're going to cut up some veggies, some raw veggies to have in the fridge. So I'm going to do the hard-boiled eggs in my Instant Pot. Please do not feel like you have to do them in your Instant Pot. I'm doing them in there so that I can continue to prep and talk to you without babysitting the stove and watching it boil over like it always does. So that's what I'm gonna do. That's my plan. I'm gonna pull my hair back. So I do usually 12 hard-boiled eggs in the Instant Pot. And we use them for everything. We use them for just hard-boiled eggs. We use them for egg salad sometimes. We'll pull out, as we eat them, we'll pull out the yolks and just mash them with a little bit of mayonnaise. So we are easy cooks. We are nothing fancy, nothing amazing. I've done it before where I've made deviled eggs and I've kept them for like the week and they lasted pretty well. I felt like towards the end I didn't love, I don't know, it just bothered me thinking about the fact that they'd been sitting in the fridge for 5 days. And so I feel better storing them with the shells on in the carton. And then just kind of mashing, and then it's healthier that way too because you're only using a little bit of mayonnaise. So I'm gonna do, I think I'm gonna do 12 out of these 18 eggs. And then I think I have another cardboard box in here so that I can store them. So we have a funny thing that happens all the time in the house is that I put hard-boiled eggs in the fridge. My son pulls them out and he tries to crack them for scrambled eggs or omelets and it doesn't work. And so the poor kid, I started writing it with a Sharpie on the side of the box that they're hard boiled. Oh, we need water for the Instant Pot. So this is, if you have any Instant Pot knowledge or want any Instant Pot knowledge, an 8-quart, and so I'm going to put like 1.5 cups of water in there. And then I'm just going to set it for 5 minutes. And I'm going to move it a little bit so that steam valve is not right in the way of my cabinets. All right. We are going to do the oatmeal energy bites. So I have my recipe up here. The oatmeal energy clusters. We always call them bites. We need, let's see. I've doubled and tripled this recipe and it comes out great. I'm just going to make one batch this week because we're making all this other food and I think we have enough. But 2 cups of cooked oats. And I've used, like these actually are not quick. They're the old-fashioned rolled oats and I've used both and had no issues at all. I'm laughing because my dog's over here smelling like she knows that somebody else is in the kitchen. So 2 cups oats. 1/2 cup chocolate chips. I prefer the dairy-free ones. You can use whatever. I like the little ones. I feel like those, I don't know, it just doesn't make for, I'm not a huge chocolate fan, so it doesn't make for this huge chunk of chocolate in the middle of them. And so, 1/2 cup chocolate chips. these actually are not, they're not the mini ones. These are regular ones. The boys will be happy. I was just checking to see. Checking to see if you guys have questions. So, 2/3 cup unsweetened coconut flakes. When I'm meal prepping, I really try to make everything, try to multitask. And so, what I like about the Instant Pot is that I can just set them in there and it kind of does its own thing and cooks the eggs. And I don't have to really do much. Whereas when they're on the stove, they'll bubble over if I don't watch them, and then I have to pay attention to what time they started bubbling or boiling, because then I have to, hit the timer. And so this is just, it's easier for me. 2/3 cup unsweetened coconut flakes. They're not pouring nicely. This is a different brand than I usually use. And then these I usually let sit in the fridge for a little while because it's easier to roll them into balls. And if you do not like to roll them into balls, I prefer to have them stored as that, but I don't love touching all of it and having my hands and stuff that other people are going to eat. And so I've made them into bars too. I put them in like a bar pan and stuck a piece of parchment paper over them and then just rolled them out. Peanut butter and honey. So I prefer chunky peanut butter. Everybody else prefers smooth peanut butter. So I try to do half and half. So there's a little bit of that in there. And then we use the just the organic peanut butter from Costco, and it's just peanuts and a little bit of salt. We prefer that one, except it pours, and I know some people don't like that. You have to stir it when you first open one, and because I was talking, I just did the whole thing with the regular peanut butter, so I guess I get no crunchy peanut butter this time. But with the Kirkland one, we go through peanut butter so fast that I don't stick it back in the fridge. I stir it and then leave it in the pantry, and I never have to stir it again. Maybe towards the end, a little bit, I'll stir it, but it's not a lot at all. And so I like it. I think it tastes so much better than some of the other ones that have like palm oil in them. All right, 1/3 cup honey. Vanilla extract and salt. Forgot to get those ones out. And I usually don't measure out the salt for these because it's a 1/4 teaspoon, so it's not a ton, but I feel like it's not horribly necessary for the salt. And so I usually just have one of those grinders, and so I usually just grind it a little bit and put a little bit in. I'm not good at following recipes. I'll be the first one to admit that I totally fall under a pinch of this and a smidge of that, which makes it even extra awesome that I have a really good recipe photographer, because I do not take my own pictures or video. I cannot take my own pictures and video, because I can tell her, hey, this is the recipe that I have, this is what I do, and then she narrows down the exact amounts for it, because I've tried to follow them and I always end up doing other stuff. So but this one I followed, except for the salt. Totally followed that one. So sometimes I'll stick this in the KitchenAid, the stand mixer, especially if I'm doing multiple batches. But I figured today, I didn't know, with so many people doing this, I thought it would, don't want to overwhelm anybody by all the kitchen appliances. And so they definitely make life easier, but they are not necessary at all for your meal prep. But if you're going to start meal prepping, you'll find that using kitchen appliances can drastically reduce the amount of time. And so I actually have 2 Instant Pots so that I can just have 2 things going at the same time. But again, it's totally not necessary. It's all, you know, however much you want to prep. We don't prep meals usually. I'll do snacks and lunches, and so I'll have 2 Instant Pots going, and it takes no more than 2 hours. That's meals, lunches, snacks. I think that's it. It usually takes no more than 2 hours. So I feel like, I don't know, if I can cut that time down at all, I like to. I got rid of some other stuff in the kitchen to be able to store the Instant Pot, and like I have a food processor and the KitchenAid. But those are all, I've been married for 20 years, and so those were all very slowly acquired over those 20 years. And it was a big deal every time we got one of them. So these you can make into balls now. I highly recommend sticking them in the fridge because they get a little bit harder. The dough gets a little bit harder. And then these are so customizable. I've put flaxseed before, I've put cranberries, I've melted the peanut butter and chocolate chips, and then when you make them, they look chocolate, which was huge for my kids when they were little. So I would try, like I have 2 kids that don't eat very much, so I would try to get anything that I could in them that was filling and full of calories and decent. And so I would melt the peanut butter and chocolate chips, and then we'd make them, and it would look like these chocolate granola bars. And so they totally thought they were getting a treat, but like they had minimal amounts of chocolate chips in them, just enough to make the bar dark. So it's so customizable. I think that what's most important for these, get the recipe back, is the oats, the peanut butter, and the honey. If you don't care for vanilla, or if you want to switch it with something, you can totally do that. The coconut, yeah, you don't need that. The chocolate chips you can swap out. So there's, I mean, like, and if you have little kids at home that you know maybe don't, I don't know, they don't love that, they need something, like I had boys, so I had girls, but I could totally see like putting a couple sprinkles in them, so that the kids eat them, because you want them to be able to eat like calorie dense, delicious food, that they'll actually swallow. So I am super lucky with kids that are not picky at all about the food that they eat, but when they were little, they just didn't want to eat it all. Okay, so I'm going to cover this and stick it in the fridge for a little while. And then we're gonna do the mushrooms. So I have everything cleaned and set up, which it takes a while. It took a good, probably an hour to get everything done. You can definitely do it as you're going. That's what I usually do, but I figured if I was gonna be talking to you guys, I wanted to have it all and not be running on and off camera. And especially over to the sink that is like right there with the camera. I didn't want to get too close. So you can definitely have everything cleaned and prepped before you even start, or you can do it as you go. All right, so mushrooms, I'm going to set the oven for 350. I'm going to stick all this stuff in the back quick because we don't need it anymore. Let's stick it here. Hey, Lynn. so, oh, I am gonna get super close, see? Because I have to get the sausage. I usually stick it right in the fridge when we get it, or in the freezer, and so I had to defrost it. We live in Tucson, but about 20-25 minutes to the nearest grocery store. So it's important to always, we get stuff and then we come home and then we freeze it to make sure that it lasts, it doesn't go bad, because otherwise that's a trip into the store and it stinks. So this is so simple, and it helped me get some more veggies in, get some better protein in, switch up the protein, because I used to just eat a lot of eggs. But the kids totally eat them. And it's like, they don't realize that they're fairly healthy. So I'm going with it. So like I said, I just use the Jennie-O sausage, turkey sausage, and we get the hot. Oh my gosh, can you see them? We have 3 of them running around. And so they're a little confused because I'm talking to myself in the kitchen. So this is the part that I don't like. It's hard to find the Jennie-O sausage by us that's like in a pack that doesn't have to be removed from the casing, which is kind of gross. But ideal, because these are just so easy. We have a friend that used to bring them over for parties, and people would rave, oh my gosh, did you make those stuffed mushrooms again? Oh my gosh, what is the recipe? And finally one time he's like, I just put sausage in mushrooms, like literally just put sausage in mushrooms. And so they keep really well for the week. You can heat them up, or you don't have to heat them up, you can eat them cold. But it gets the kids and my husband to eat more veggies and more protein. So this is my Rachael Ray trick that I've been using for like 10 years. It's my garbage bowl. I didn't spray the pan or anything, so sorry, I'm gonna come invade your space again and wash my hands. I am dying to unmarry my spice cabinet, but I haven't been able to do it yet. But I went to my mother-in-law's and she has all of her spices like lined up, even if they are bigger or smaller, like Costco size or smaller. And I loved that they were just like a single line, and it wasn't just all, mine are literally jammed all the way in the back. So I don't do anything to the mushrooms. I wash them and I pull the stem out. And some of them have really big wells and some of them don't have really big wells. And you just put more or less, some of them are super small, but you just more or less, depending on how big it is. If there's one that has like no well, then I'll just show you. I kind of stick it like it covers the top. But then when it cooks, I mean, it sticks, so it's not a big deal. You don't really need anything sprayed on the mushrooms because the grease from the sausage kind of combines with all of the liquid from the mushrooms, and it's fine. So I use 2 packages, 2 of the smaller packages of mushrooms here. A puppy staring at me. So like I feel bad that this isn't like this fancy recipe, and this is why I have not put it on my website yet, because I know that people would say, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? But they're so good and they're so easy. And if you just need a little bit of protein, like why not just get some extra veggies with it? And I love mushrooms, so it just works. But they're so easy. Like I said, our friend that brought them over for parties, and people would go crazy. And he would just laugh because he's like, I'll make those whenever you want me to make those. So like you could totally bring this to a happy hour or a party or, you know, a get together, whatever, and impress people. But don't ever tell them that I had this super easy, boring recipe that I told you about. Hey, stop. She's licking the counter, this side of the counter, sorry, not the top of the counter. So somebody had asked earlier about food when you order your groceries, and I do that all the time. This last month, I tested, because I had a photographer come and shoot a couple recipes for me. And so I tested those instead of my amazing recipe tester testing them for me. And I had to try, recipes multiple times and measure things. So I'd like find myself out of routine. I would start cooking like the recipe that I was wanting to test, and then I add all the ingredients, and then I'd remember like, crap, I forgot to measure those for the recipe. So I had to make them multiple times. Love the easy part, just don't love mushrooms. Well, let's brainstorm what else we can use besides mushrooms. We can totally do that. And so I ended up going to the store and back several times this month when I usually don't. Like, I was so proud because for 2018, I did not step foot in a grocery store from the middle of January when I first heard that you could order groceries online. So hold on a second. So the eggs are done. I just need to give it 5 more minutes to sit in there. So I didn't go to a grocery store from January of last year until probably November of last year, and that's because I had to go for Thanksgiving. So this last month, when I went to the grocery store over and over again, because I had to keep making those recipes, we looked at our grocery budget, and we spent about $250 or $300 more. Because I mean, we're talking like the things that I was making were super cheap, like air fried buffalo cauliflower. So bags of frozen cauliflower is what I was doing, which were super cheap. But I'd get there and I'd be like, oh, we have this for dinner tonight, but look, they have steak and it looks really good. Or, hey, I just saw this really cool chicken recipe that I want to make, so I'm going to buy all the ingredients because I'm not sure what I have at home. And so $250 or $300 later. And so a lot of people I know don't do the online ordering because it's like $5 here at least, $5 to order it. But I swear that money is so well spent because you're paying somebody to grocery shop for you. I go to the grocery store and I probably spend an hour and a half or 2 hours in there, as opposed to me going to the grocery pickup line and spending 5 minutes, 6 minutes. But the part that I like even more than that is that everything that I add to my cart, I watch the number rise. So I know, oh crap, like you're spending too much on groceries. What are you getting that you don't need? Plus, you're able to save like your staples list. So everything that you get every week. So like we get peanut butter every week, we get eggs every week, we get orange juice every week. Everything, we can like click a button and it adds all of that to the list for us so I don't have to go in. Hi, Janine. So online ordering we've eaten healthier because we're not walking around saying, oh, those chips look really good, or hey, I didn't know that this was new, or like Valentine's Day candy. I bought Cadbury eggs the other day because I walked by them. I never would have even seen them had I just been ordering online. So I am a huge fan of ordering groceries online, especially if you're on a budget. So I'll stick those in. I'm gonna set the timer for 10 minutes because that's another issue that I have, is that somebody will say, how long do you cook them for? And I'm like, until they're done. And so that's why I realized quickly that if I wanted to have a food blog and create recipes, I needed some help in that area. And the help was the pictures, because I can't take them, and somebody to rein in the recipes and get time and ingredients down, or ingredient amounts, I guess. So I still have a ton left over. I have no problem sticking this back in the freezer. I don't do that for like chicken, steak. I don't, but I feel like, I don't know, sausage is processed, and I don't love that it's processed, but it is. And so I'll stick that back. Or if I'm smart about it, when I get home from the store, I will cut that package in half and separate them before I freeze them. You totally save money, Lynn. I love it. The only issue that I've had is that, sorry, 3 minutes on the eggs. The only issue that I've had is that sometimes like I'll accidentally order a banana, one banana. So the banana comes and I'm like, that's awesome for like a day because we need like 6 bananas. But in my head, I'm like, oh, I need bananas. Oh, like I'm adding it to a list. And so we've also had issues with vegetables not being, well, and fruit and vegetables not being like the best stuff that I would pick. And so I learned very early on, and I think like our grocery store gave like 3 free trips. So you didn't pay that $4.95 fee for 3 times. And I feel like that was to get it all under control. And yeah, you have to do this, or hey, you messed this up. And I give crazy instructions and they probably hate me, but I try to do it with smiley faces all the time. So with bananas, I'm like, please don't get the green ones, but please don't get the ones that are too brown. Please get the ones that look really good. Or please don't get the huge ones that are like 10 inches. I'm trying to think of what else I'll ask them, like, please look through the raspberries to make sure that they're not liquidy or moldy. But I'll say that, I'll repeat it for each. I should probably just save it like in a note and copy and paste it. But I put something in there for every single thing. And if I say that, because they always ask if a substitution's okay. If I say that a substitution is okay, then I tell them exactly what to substitute with. Like, you can substitute my apples, but it has to be with something that's similar size. Otherwise, I end up with these huge apples that nobody's eating. Or, you know, I like it's called Alexia brand of frozen onion rings. The kids like them. And so when I'll say, like, you can sub it, but it has to be, you know, I go and I look at, like, the ingredients of the other brands, and I'll say, like, can't have sugar in it, can't have, you know, whatever I want. So I'll be very specific. Or I'll say, like, you can sub this if you don't have these onion rings, but I want it subbed for a different product from this brand. And they almost like, they thank you for putting all the instructions on there. And then if you ever get there to pick up your groceries, you can, like, they'll come out to the car, they'll tell you, hey, we had to sub this. And you can say, like, no, I'm sorry, like, that's fine, I don't need it. Or, hey, can you look for this instead? And they'll go back in, they'll send like a runner to go grab it, and then they'll bring it out and you know, change your receipt, your bill. And so it's been super helpful for us to be able to do that and save so much money. Okay, so these are done. Just a second, sorry, it's super loud. For the eggs. I just need my water. Yeah, Linda said that was my issue, not always the best picks. I have got it in my head now that there is like a 15-year-old boy that is shopping for all my groceries and has no idea. And he's like, oh, just for this and this. So I give instructions like I'd give instructions to my kids going to the grocery store. But it's still totally worth my time even after adding that. Hey, Patty, we are making hard-boiled eggs in the Instant Pot. You don't have to have an Instant Pot to meal prep here. But that was an easy way to do it. I just put some sausage stuffed mushrooms, like very easy. You take sausage and put it in mushrooms in the oven. And then we have some oatmeal energy bites in like little protein balls in the fridge so that I can roll them out in a few minutes. I'm gonna pull out the eggs quick and put them in an ice bath. And then we'll cut veggies and roll protein balls and we'll be about done. So it's been 30 minutes. I'm gonna say we're at least half done, if not a little bit more than half. And of course, like when we go on, like in a couple weeks, we're gonna be making multiple meals, like dinners and lunches and breakfast, and it's gonna take longer. But hopefully if we're smart about what we're making, and we're making enough for your family but not too much, then it won't take a ton of time. Okay, so I'm gonna let them sit in the ice bath. Hold on, I'm looking at Lynn's. I use my Instant Pot multiple times a week. I actually gave my crock pot away because they function as crock pots, but they don't heat all around. And so the heating element is just in the bottom. So I didn't love my crock pot, but a lot of people say that they don't like the crock pot function in the Instant Pot because it doesn't heat all the way around. It just heats the bottom, and so they think that maybe it's not as safe. I can't comment on it because I don't use it. I only use the pressure cook portion, but I love that I can put all my ingredients in, close the top, and walk away, and then it kind of tells me when it's done. It beeps. So I love that. These are not done. So like I said, I went and did all of our vegetables. I cleaned all the vegetables first. So I used one of the Rubbermaid containers for our fruits and vegetables, and it has an insert that pops all of the veggies like up just a little bit off the bottom. And that's supposed to help circulate air and help them stay fresh longer. I don't know about the science behind it, but it totally works to keep them fresh longer. I was putting them in Ziploc containers forever, and I don't feel like they stayed fresh. They would almost get like really wet, and then they would just go bad. So I usually cut into sticks for my husband and for snacking, but I work at the computer all day, and so I don't usually take a lunch, like a traditional lunch, so I'll take a lunch while I'm working, and so I'll make like a bento box just full of snacks pretty much that I can have as I'm working at the computer. And so, hold on, I'll show you what I do for me. I make sticks for him, but then I cut up small pieces for me so that I'm not trying to type and hold on to a carrot. Plus, I feel like I'm so much more likely to snack on it if it's sitting out in a bowl and I'm making dinner. So I'll just stick these in a bowl, and they're just small pieces, and I'll snack on them instead of having the carrot slices. Leave them out. And I usually store them differently. I store them in a smaller container like this so that they still stay fresh, but I don't want to be digging out my small pieces next to his regular pieces. It's kind of a pain. I got 2 pounds of carrots, and I got 2, like, the heads, I don't know, 2 things of celery hearts. What stinks though is when you do that for the celery hearts, they, you know, you have this big bunch of them, but by the time you pull off the one that's nasty and then get to the center that are like unusable and white, you end up with like, I don't know, 6 pieces of celery. But we still eat them, so we get them every week. Costco is so much cheaper to get them from. I just put them in for 2 more minutes because they're super close to being done and I don't want to overcook them. Because I've done that before and it's not good. So I prefer to have raw veggies. I don't love to have cooked veggies. And I find that if I have them cut in the fridge, I will grab that instead of chips 9 times out of 10. And so once I realized that I ate so many more veggies when they were already cut, it was just what we did. And so every weekend we'll cut them all for the week. And we all eat more. So that's even like if I'm super busy for dinner one night and we have hamburgers, but I totally forget or don't have time to like make a side, make a veggie, I pull out all the raw veggies and we just snack on them with dinner, the whole family. And so just everybody eats more veggies when it comes like that. And when they're offered all the time, eventually the kids are going to take one. So if you have a picky child who sees every single night or every single week, you know, you have cut vegetables on the table for dinner one night, eventually they're going to try it. I know I said earlier that I'm lucky that I did not have picky kids, but I've had a lot of friends with picky kids and we've talked about it a lot. So I usually prep cucumbers, but I don't cut them all up because they lose all of the moisture in them so fast. So sometimes I will, also all the time I'll keep the skin on, and I will take the skin off every day when I go to eat it for lunch. Then I'll peel the skin off. But I'll cut them in chunks so that you just kind of have to cut the ends off and eat them. I'm gonna do 2 more minutes. And so that is, you know, I usually get the English cucumbers, so not that it's a headache to unwrap a cucumber, because it's not, but that will totally make it so that I don't have that and I'll go grab something else. So if I already have them cut into chunks like that big in the fridge, then, sorry, this is still on. If I already have them cut into chunks in the fridge, then I'll go ahead and pull off the wrapper or take the skin off and have it for a snack. And then we do a lot of like bento box lunches. So next week when we add our lunches on, I'll give you guys some options of things to make. There's a lot of different diets in the group, and so there's no way that I can use one recipe to satisfy all those diets. And just the fact that everybody likes different things, and so that's fine. And so, you know, you're not learning how to meal prep what we meal prep, you're learning to meal prep for your family using some of the, you know, ideas that we use, but they're not going to be right for everybody. And so we'll figure out what works for you guys, and then hopefully you can take that and make it into a, hey, you know, I saw this and this worked and this worked well and this doesn't work well for us, so I'm not going to do it. But if you at least have some resources to rely on, and just to hear ideas from other people, I think is so helpful. But a lot of people feel like they have to meal prep everything, and it's not sustainable to do all the time, especially if you're not eating it, or if you really enjoy making dinner. Like I enjoy making dinner. I'll call my son out and I'll have him help me, and that's just, you know, at night I don't mind making that. So for me to meal prep dinner, that's more stressful than anything because I don't want to. And so a lot of people, I think, along the way are told you have to meal prep all or none, and you really don't have to do that. So I don't want my friends to get super brown because we're gonna reheat them. But again, like super easy. You literally just pull out turkey sausage and stuff it into a mushroom. All right, so it looks like we are going to be done with this in an hour, which is a totally reasonable amount of time. To do all your snacks for the week. For me, the snacks are that will make or break me. If I don't have snacks ready, I can make a lunch, I can make breakfast, I can make dinner. If I don't have snacks prepped, I'm eating chips all day long. And whatever else is in the house. Lynn, I have a 6-quart and an 8-quart, but I use the 8-quart more. I actually loaned the 6-quart to a friend because I didn't use it very much. So if I'm like doing double duty with meal prep, then I'll you know, get it back and do both of them. But I use my 8-quart, and I've just learned how to adjust. You just have to add a little bit more liquid. There's always enough to double the recipe. Like there's enough room to double a recipe. And we have company a lot on the weekends. And so if I want to stick something in there and double it for company, then I can very easily do that. With a 6-quart, I found that you can't always easily double the recipes. So we have, I'm afraid it's going to pop out. Celery, carrots, celery, carrots, and then my little container of celery and carrots. And I'll cut up more of them as I need them throughout the week. We have those that are cooling, so I'll put them away in a minute. And then we just have to roll these protein balls. So I want to wash my hands again. I need a sink over on the other side so I don't have to keep getting super close to the camera when I redo my kitchen. Okay. So I actually didn't get a container out for this. Too big, but it's gonna work. So I try to just make these uniform. I don't stress about the amount, like the exact amount in each ball, as long as I make them uniform. These still aren't super, like I'll usually put them in, so they've been in for probably a half hour. I usually put them in for a couple of hours, but these aren't too bad to roll. What I don't like is when you start to roll and then it gets stuck to your hand because it has too much peanut butter or honey. But I feel like these are good. So 45-ish minutes, not even an hour it's taken us. And all of our snacks are prepped for the week. I have back here on the list that I had given you guys, so these are actually getting stuck. I think I'm gonna put them back in the fridge. The snacks that I was talking about for my son, the chips and salsa, bananas, apples, things like that that he eats that I just buy, are all on the counter back there. All right, these need to go back in. So I'm gonna say like minimum of an hour. I'll sometimes even make these at night and then roll them all the next morning. But if you make them the first thing in your meal prep, and then maybe you do it with the kids later on after dinner. But 30 minutes is not long enough for those. But the ones that did, they're not big. So those, when they're done, we have these. And then we have our fresh fruit. I have some yogurt in the fridge. I tend to need protein heavy snacks. Otherwise, I feel like I'm constantly snacking. And so I need something that's filling and not really snacky. And so that's why the snacks that we're gonna do these weeks are all gonna be pretty protein heavy. husband doesn't care for mushrooms, and he totally eats these. He likes them. So then we have the eggs aren't quite as cold as I'd like them to be. Hold on a second, let me fill it back up. All right, so besides our slight fail with the protein balls, we've got sausage, stuffed mushrooms, 12 hard-boiled eggs that we can use as hard-boiled eggs or egg salad, or we can make like one by one, like I told you, with a teaspoon of mayonnaise, deviled eggs. The energy bites that need more than 30 minutes to sit in the fridge so that you can easily make them into balls, and tons of cut veggies. Oh, okay, I have cucumbers back here. Oh, and then I have nuts too. I forgot about the nuts. So for the cucumbers, I usually cut the big English ones into 3. And then I just stick them in a, like a Ziploc bag, and they stay fine. The ends get dry, but it's super easy to just cut that off because I slice it, and so I just slice off the end when I'm ready to eat it. They don't always fit in one bag, but they're there. For nuts, I try to portion them out in 1/4 to 1/3 cups. That seems to be good for the guys in the house. If I do, I usually have half of a bag at a time, and then I'll just leave it at my desk. And we do unsalted nuts. We do the ones from Costco. And then as we eat some, I'll add in like more almonds or some lightly salted cashews or pistachios. And everybody seems to like just the variety, that there's something different and something a little bit salty in there. So this is a 1/3 cup, which I think is fairly normal for guys and teenagers. And it looks to be normal for women, but it's, I don't know. I think that you're supposed to have less than that, but just less fat. But I usually do this by the week, so that when I add more stuff to it, then like it's a different mix that next week. So I don't always, I used to do the whole container of nuts when I first got it, and now I wait a little while so I can switch it up a little bit. And I'll do it with trail mix too. The guys like trail mix, and so I'll stick trail mix in a sandwich bag, and then they'll just grab one. You can get them from Costco that are already portioned, but they're much too big for portions, and they're more expensive that way. And so it just makes sense to grab snack bags in a scoop. All right. Snacks for the week. 3 people. I work from home. My son goes to school and doesn't snack during the day usually. He'll come home and snack before he has dinner, and my husband will always grab snacks to bring into work with him, and then he usually comes home and has a quick snack before he goes to work out. So that's what works for our family. The calendar that I sent you, the week-long calendar so that you could prep by person, by day, was meant to help you. If you have any questions about filling that out for your family, let me know, and I'm happy to help you fill that out for your family. And the purpose of that is so that you're not making a ton of extra snacks, but also you're not making too few. And so if you know that the basketball team comes over every Tuesday and Thursday after school, you need to plan for that, or they're going to eat all of your snacks on Tuesday, and you're going to have nothing after that, and you're going to be mad. So if you are doing this for yourself and you prefer to not share with your family, I suggest finding a place that you can almost hide your snacks. These bags come in colors, so if you ever need the different colors, to just say, like, if it's in a colored bag, don't touch it. If it's in a red bag, it's mom's, don't touch it. I like to color code them. When I find those ones, I don't always find them, but they're at Target. I like to color code them by protein or veggie. And so I like will know, okay, well, I just had a protein. I'm still not full. I'm still snacky. I'm gonna go grab one of the green bags that's full of veggies. And so that just helps me easily identify, but it totally just depends on what's easy for you and what makes sense for you. You could have one child snacks in blue bags, you could have another child snacks in green bags, and then you and your husband can have different bags. It's truly whatever works for you. And that's what this whole month-long meal prep is about, finding what works for you. And it may take you a couple times to do it. You might have to, do it for a month and then, okay, well, that's not working. Let me watch all the videos again on Saturday for another month. And it might take a couple times, and that's fine. It's taken me years to be able to get this down. And so I feel like it's very important for you to know that it's not all or nothing. It's whatever works best for your family and whatever helps you guys eat healthier and save a little bit of money on groceries.